think that being a real estate agent is probably really easy, and today I fully intend to prove it. There, I said it. 2021 was one of the hottest years in real estate. With huge demand, lack of inventory, and historically low interest rates, home prices soared across the country, and many view this as a way to cash in. In fact, 156,000 new real estate licenses were issued during the years 2020 and 2021. That was a 60% increase over the 2 years prior to that. To me, real estate seemed like an easy way you could earn your riches. So easy, in fact, even this guy could do it.
This man, give me your loot. You give.
But as the old saying goes, if it were easy, everyone would do it. And right now, it sure does seem like everybody's doing it.
If it were easy, everyone would do it.
So let's go back in time when the story first begins as we get our first listing as a new real estate agent. Let's go. We did it! We did it! We did it! We did it! We got our first listing and we're gonna sell this house right here. I've just never sold a house before. Okay. What's up, everybody? This is Corey of Mission Side Hustle, and as you know, I am on a mission to turn $500 into $1 million. Does this sound echoey? Hello? Does this sound echoey in here? Hello? Did y'all know that last year it actually came out in the news that there's more licensed real estate agents than there actually were homes for sale, which means there's not even enough homes for every agent to have one sale. I was part of that statistic. I actually got my license last year and really haven't done anything with it. But there is one major difference now, and it's that I am one of these real estate agents that has a listing finally. And today we're gonna go through all the steps to get this thing ready to sell. I actually got this first listing from a friend of a friend. That's kind of how I would argue most real estate agents get their first listing. It's probably through what most people call your sphere of influence. So either a friend of a friend, or some sort of connection you have somehow. So let's cut to the chase and talk about what we got here. Now, a lot of you guys have been looking forward to this day, and I have too. And if you walk around here, you'll notice that it still needs a lot of work. There's a lot of things that have to get fixed, but we are working on it currently, and we should have this thing going on the market here in probably just a couple weeks. So first thing we've been doing is we got all these walls repainted because it was not looking so great before. Part of the value that I've been bringing is coordinating all the contractors of getting the work done here, such as the painter, and in a few days we're gonna have the carpets getting done. We've got a handyman coming in to just fix random odds and ends of this place. Cleaners, I'm gonna go ahead and get scheduled to clean this place up, and then it's gonna actually roll into the actual real estate agent side of things. More on that here pretty soon. So while there's a lot to do left still, I do feel like things are going pretty well and the ball's moving in the right direction. But there's one thing left that's still kind of intimidating me. I've bought houses before, but I've never sold a house as an agent. So I'm gonna get a little help today. I'm gonna head on over to my brokerage that I'm working with and see if they can kind of point me in the right direction. So let's see if we can get that done. How's it going? Good, it's great.
I'm in the witness protection program.
What's up, dude? How you doing? Good. So I just wanted to get in today, and I got my first listing for this place, and I've done some basic stuff like coordinated some repairs, carpet, paint, just handyman type things. I don't really know all that much what to do from there. So what are the next basic steps to get it on the market or to get this thing wrapped up? So we've got it ready.
We gotta get a listing agreement signed and our drone video taken.
All right.
And get it uploaded all to the MLS to list it.
Easy. All right. 4 things. Maybe 4.5. Sure. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for the help.
You're welcome.
I figured out a lot of stuff I have to do. Basically, I got access to this online platform they use here at the brokerage to do a template of all the required forms I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out now, get these forms set up, get that listing agreement tightened up, and we'll be good to go to move on to the next step. Now you see, this is where things start to take a little bit of a turn and get a little turbulent. And by turbulent, what I mean to say is a literal emotional roller coaster taking me up and down. So stick with me here. To start off, there was a ton of discussion with the seller on how to price this property.
They think we should list it at like 280 or 295. You can always go down, but you can't increase it.
Here's the thing, if we put it at 280 and it sells for 280 and it appraises, that's good for everybody. I mean, it's all gonna come out in the wash, you know? So like whenever we actually list it, you'll know what its worth is because it's gonna sell for whatever people are willing to pay for it. The closest comp we had to work with was in the same development that had been sold 4 months prior to us for a total of 265. But one thing is for certain, a lot can change in this real estate market in 4 months.
Vladimir Putin's office is not gonna help you.
Now, eventually we did come to the conclusion we were gonna go ahead and list at 280. And now that that was decided, things seem to be moving along pretty well. Well, that is up until literally the day we were gonna go live. Because that's when we found out that another property only 4 houses down from our listing had gone up live that day too. And unfortunately for us, it did appear to be even more updated than our property. And to make matters worse, they listed it for $5K less than what we were planning to do. We had just put in all this time into making our pricing right, and now we had to go back and rework everything. Now stick with me here because what happens next is critical to the entire process and it changes the entire trajectory of this video. So this new competing listing was posted on Monday, and in their description it said the highest and best offers are due 1 week later, meaning the following Monday. So I hatched a genius and probably an obvious plan. We were now gonna wait until that next Monday when the listing would go pending. And then once that property was listed as pending and off the market, we then would post our property at a slightly higher price, hoping to entice some of the people that were potentially beat out on the other property. And I thought it was a pretty smart plan. Up until 1 week later, when the last thing I expected to happen, happened. Hey Bonnie, do you have a second? I just wanted to fill you in on that property that's a few houses down from you guys. So today we expected them to go pending because they have highest and best due by today, but instead of going pending, they actually just relisted with a new price, $37,000 higher than they were asking before. The only thing I can think of is they must have had a ton of offers their first week and they're seeing if they can go higher. So while this news was extremely unexpected, it actually is a really great thing because it showed us that we could go higher with our pricing and probably still receive multiple offers. And that's exactly what we did. The very next day, we went live with a new list price of $309,000. And that is when I thought the fun would really begin. And we're going live right now, ladies and gentlemen. My phone has been ringing non-stop and it's only been 1 day. It's absolutely insane right now. I try to make myself some lunch. Boom, phone rings. Hello, this is Corey. Try to flip some furniture. Boom, phone rings. I even try to take some time to make some fire content for YouTube and boom, the phone rings. It's almost like I need 3 of me just to keep up with these phone calls. Hello, this is Corey. The truth is though, I'd much rather be getting all these calls than not getting all these calls. So to have this kind of response has been pretty awesome. Now that said, I really am starting to feel the pressure and the weight of this whole responsibility. Only 1 day in and we've already received a cash offer of $312. That's $3,000 over the asking price. And with this offer, there's no inspections, all cash, quick close. And honestly, I'm not sure you can find better terms than that. But the best part of all this is that I still have more offers that are expected to come in today. So once I collect all of those, I'll catch up with you guys and let you know where we stand. All right guys, I just want to check in. It's been a few days since I spoke with you guys last and things have gotten a little interesting. Now it's only been a short period of time, but we already have 4 offers on the table. The very first day we got a cash offer for $312,000. We had a VA loan offer at $320,000, and then 2 identical offers of $330,000 each with traditional financing. And I've been going back and forth with every party, trying to get all of them as high as they possibly can go so we can make the best decision for my seller. But the problem we face is we like the cash offer best for obvious reasons, but they're not coming up off of 312. I tried really hard to get them to do 315 and they just won't budge. And it's not to say we don't like the financing offers. It's just there's one thing that scares me with them, and that's the appraisal. Because if the appraisal comes in too low, we can spend all this time for nothing and the buyer can back out. So for these offers, I have made sure that the agents are including what's called an appraisal gap with every offer, meaning if there is a gap in the appraisal and the sales price, the buyer is required to cover that in their own cash. It just protects us as a seller from having anybody back out later on in the process. And with all this information, I've got a lot to think about. So I'm gonna go ahead and call my seller, figure out what they wanna do, and then finally select the offer that we're gonna move forward with. All right, so I just dropped off my camera lens to the UPS store because I have a really nice one, which this one's nice too, but I have a much better one, and I actually dropped it and broke it. So I just took it to the store to drop it off and get it repaired. But while I was in there, some developments just happened. Turns out the cash buyer backed out.
Yeah, and just let him know, you know, we're not gonna waste time, and that's what his thinking is. He's like, you know, this is what we're offering. If we wanted to go and hire, we'll probably get an inspection then.
Sure. Don't know why. We were negotiating over $3 grand. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, so I think there must be something other at play. Maybe they found a different property. It's really up in the air, and we'll never really know. But that does make our decision a little bit easier. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna call the other offer we have for $330. And all I really want them to do is to understand that when it comes to inspections, it's as is. We're not doing any repairs. Maybe something if something major comes up, we'll talk about it, but we're not gonna be doing like small little repairs here and there to make this happen. And I also want them to clean up the language on the appraisal gap in case the appraisal comes in low and we don't have to drop our price. Instead, they're gonna have to cover that cost on their own. So let's go ahead and give this agent a call. Let's see if we can make this deal happen.
Hi, Corey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'll be great if I got the house.
Well, I think we're really close. And there was just one thing I was gonna ask if we could clean up the verbiage just on the bridge appraisal gap. It was referring to the appraisal gap. It said in an attempt to bridge the gap. If we could just clean that up, it's, you know, it's as is. If something major comes up, it'll obviously warrant a discussion, but just want to kind of set the expectation that the seller's really not looking to do any like minor things if things come up, just so that's kind of understood. But if something major, you know, that's a different story. We would obviously have to talk about it.
Awesome! Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna grab my computer right now.
Okay, if you send that over to me, I'll get it over to my seller. Just make sure they approve, and then I'll shoot you a text in a little bit. Okay.
All righty, thank you.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Yo, we're about to sell a house. All right, so they're gonna send the new contract over. We're gonna get it signed, and then we're gonna get this thing going. And man, this is gonna be really good. But this payout is gonna be so nice when it finally happens. And I've put in a lot of work thus far. We've still got a long way to go. You know, we still got to go through all the financing, the inspections, everything. We're still got 30 days out till this finally happens. But when we finally close, we're gonna get a very nice payout. It's gonna help the channel so much, and I can't wait to share this process with you guys and show you everything that happens. So I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit once we got some more stuff happening. Now that's hilarious. I actually thought this was all gonna go nice and smooth. Now after we accepted this $330 offer with traditional financing, the next steps we had to finish up was the home inspection and the home appraisal. I felt pretty good about the inspection given that I felt like I set a pretty good expectation as far as what we were willing to do and not do based on the report. And then when it came to the appraisal, I felt like we protected ourselves pretty well with that appraisal gap clause that we'd added in there. But apparently none of that even mattered, because when the home inspection came back, there was a whole list of items they were requesting for us to take care of. And you can understand that my seller was not super pumped about that. That said, we did agree to fix a few items, and these were items that were required in order to pass a 4-point home inspection, which is what a buyer needs to get insurance on a house. So basically, we had to do it or the deal was dead anyway. And then after all those repairs, only a few weeks later, it was time to get the appraisal. And wouldn't you know it, the appraisal came in low. It did. It came in low. It came in at $280, which is significantly lower than we were expecting, and a whole $50,000 difference between the agreed on price. In response, the buyer asked us to lower the price to $306,000. We were in quite the bind. Now, because of this low appraisal, it was going to require the buyer to put down nearly $100,000 to cover the down payment and the gap appraisal and the closing costs, and I know they really weren't expecting that much. And I knew this buyer was just kind of a normal person like you or I would be, and to shell out $100,000, some of it being unexpected, that's a tough sell. Now, we definitely could have said no and threatened to take away their $5,000 deposit if they didn't go through the terms exactly as listed, but that would likely end up in court and be a pretty drawn out process, ignoring the fact too that my seller's a really nice person and I don't think anyone really wanted to go through all that anyway. So our other option was to try and settle on a number that everybody would be happy with. And now the financing hung in the balance, and this could make or break the entire deal that we've been working on. After 3 days of back and forth negotiations, we had gone all the way from $306,000 to $310,000 to $312,000, and we got rid of $3,000 of seller concessions that we had agreed on in the past. But the problem now was that my seller wasn't gonna go below $315, and I kind of agreed with her. We had lots of offers over that number, so we were kind of stuck there. And they weren't gonna go above $312. And this ultimately was the line in the sand for this deal because my seller was not willing to go below $315 and their buyer was not budging off $312. Now, one regret I have from this whole process is not recording as much on camera as I normally would. Often these calls would come in so quickly that I wouldn't have my camera nearby, and even if I did, it was just a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, so I'm not even sure how I would record all that. And for that, I'm kind of disappointed I couldn't show this whole process a little bit more in depth. But what I can show you in depth is how it all ended.
Cash going double, ain't never in trouble. Working 9 to 5 on the side, I still hustle. I'm gonna get to 1 mil from this 500. I've been working non-stop all the time, man.
Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I was just calling to say congratulations.
Is it done?
Everything's done. They're gonna process your wire today and you'll have your money today.
Yay.
We got there. Well, I appreciate you giving me a shot. I really do, and I think it was really great, you know, working with you guys. So thank you so much for allowing me to do that.
Appreciate everything that you did.
So did I do it? Did I prove that being a real estate agent is easy? Well, I think what I proved is that that's actually the wrong question. Because anything that you do often, you can become proficient, and of course it's going to be easy later on. But I think maybe a more accurate and proper question is, does a real estate agent provide the value to justify the earnings? And with me being an agent, you're probably thinking I'm gonna say, yes, of course. But I think the answer actually lies somewhere in the middle. Now, as an agent, I had a lot of support going through this. I had a mentor at my brokerage, and I also had an entire brokerage to ask questions to if any of those things arose. If you're doing for sale by owner, you're kind of on your own. Now, some people might be savvy and can pull that off, but for others, the whole process can be really, really overwhelming. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna have to pay a commission on the buyer side anyway, so in my opinion, you might as well just get an agent that can take care of everything and save you a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of hassle and probably do a better job than if you're on your own. It's just really a lot of work. So on this sale here, after paying fees to my brokerage for facilitating this whole deal, I earned a commission of $9,100. I paid $200 for the photographer before, and I paid $300 for a transaction coordinator that pretty much handled anything on the back end that I needed. That was well worth it for me. So that gives me a profit on this sale of $8,600. That's a big number. And when you take that profit, add to the channel net worth at the start of this episode, we have a new channel net worth of $40,562. Woo! We're moving on up and we're almost there at 50K. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all next week.